We've all seen the visuals, we've all heard the stories of millions of Canadians lined up at food banks. But families in every part of this country are feeling the pinch of not being able to make ends meet. But it's more than just a feeling. We all understand that higher taxes and more regulation has made it more difficult for Canadians to get ahead. But for us to fully understand the challenges that all Canadians are facing, we have to look at the macroeconomics. In order to understand this, you don't need an economics degree. I think to tell the story just perfectly, you can look at two news stories separated by a decade. In 2014, the New York Times reported, and their headline said, "Life in Canada, home of the world's most affluent middle class." Fast forward 10 years, and the headlines now scream, "In an emergency, break glass." Bank of Canada official says it's time to break glass.
You know those signs that say, "In an emergency, break the glass"? Well, it's time to break the glass.
Canada's wealth in any given year, all of the goods and services that Canadians produce, is called gross domestic product, or GDP. And when you divide that by all the Canadians that live here in Canada, that's what we call GDP per capita. It's a measurement of the wealth of the nation divided by the people that call our country home. It's an important measurement because it really tells Canadians how well we're doing based on previous years and based on other countries. It tells us if we're getting richer or poorer over time. And the startling news is Canadians are in fact getting poorer. And of course, Canada is located next to the largest economy in the world, the United States. Over the decades, Canada has consistently kept pace with the United States. As their economy rose, our economy would follow. Since the post-war era, Canada has kept consistently the same as the United States. Through the 80s and the 90s, 2000s, Canada continued to keep on pace. But about 10 years ago, something started to change. The average Canadian now makes $20,000 less than their counterpart in the United States. $20,000 is real money. So when Canadians are wondering why they feel like they're falling behind, it's because they have.
6 quarters in a row where the Canadian GDP per capita is down. That's not good because if we want to be all richer, we need to grow the pie, but not just grow the pie, but grow the pie per capita as well.
These numbers really are just the size of the Canadian economic pie. And in order for people to get a larger slice, we have to grow that economic pie. The United States over the last decade has grown by about 19%. And as it has grown, every American has benefited. Our Canadian pie has remained static, hasn't grown, but Canada's population continues to increase, which means everyone's worse off. But this isn't just an American success story that they've done great and we've kind of stayed the same. If you take the camera and pull it back a little bit further and compare us to the industrialized world, we're about to make history. Canada is expected to fall behind all other industrialized countries in economic output in the years to come. This is historic, but in a very bad way. Canada has always punched above its weight when it comes to economic growth and development. This will be the first time we fall behind. It's all because something changed about a decade ago. I could give you 3 guesses, but I know you'd only need one.
Canada's new Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, with his wife, Sophie, just about to address
biggest, most important economic policy this government, if re-elected, would move forward. You'll forgive me if I don't think about monetary policy.
So what exactly did they do? Well, we know that they raised taxes and piled on regulation to small business and larger business that wanted to invest here in Canada. But really, they just chased investment away. We're not talking about small figures or small projects. They were huge investments, billions of dollars that the Liberals chased away. These projects would have created jobs, good jobs, but also created wealth that would have enlarged the size of the pie to ensure that every Canadian would be better off. They chased billions and billions and billions of dollars out of Canada. And where did that money go? It went south of the border or to other countries? And they took our jobs, and they're enjoying the wealth today. As I pour through the graphs and reports, I get kind of depressed because I know that these are really the stories of individual families in every part of this country. Partly because of the decision of this government to to chase investment that should be here in Canada that would have created jobs and wealth that we'd be enjoying today. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can turn this ship around. It's not complicated. We have to reverse the mistakes and the decisions of the Trudeau government. We can talk about lowering the taxes that they've increased. We can talk about changing the regulatory frameworks that they've made so complicated that people want to go elsewhere. I could get into the litany of things that need to change in order for Canadians to do better. But the most important thing is we get back to the fundamentals. That in order to ensure that every Canadian does better, we have to build a larger economic pie. And that starts with unleashing Canadians. And I can assure you that there's only one party in the House of Commons that actually believes that. I'm excited about the future. I'm optimistic because I have seen through history what Canadians can do when the government gets out of the way and Canadians build opportunity and prosperity for the generations to come.